Yeah, welcome everybody to our Sacred Self-Healing Nspirience workshop. My name is Jona Bryndis, as you all know, and today we are going to talk about energy or energetic wellness. Yes, and this is a big topic. For some of you, it will feel like a step back to the basics, something that helps us to more systematically discern what might be off balance in us and how we can actually approach it. So throughout this workshop, and I want to make sure that you all are aware that this is workshop format, which means that all of you guys' microphones will be open. You can control them yourself, and this is all based on working with you. So there's obviously a lecture part, an educational part to this, but it's a workshop because we want to work on this together. We're going to learn about terminology, what energies are, and the different energies, the different levels of wellness, and hopefully also get new insights in regards to discerning our needs, wants, and ideals or goals. We're going to learn a little more about how this looks like when our energy is balanced or imbalanced, and how this can actually play out in our daily life. And we'll be introduced to the word energetic stress. Many of you are energetically sensitives and empaths. You are familiar with energetic stress, at least on the level of experiencing it. But many of us are still not quite aware of what actually causes energetic stress in us, and especially how to address it. And then we're gonna go into, like really what contributes to our energetic wellness, to our wellness, which is basically here the second part to energetic health. In the first part of this series of workshops that help us to better understand our own energies and know better how to bring ourselves into a less stressed, more relaxed, and more aware state. We've discussed some of the fundamentals of energies like high vibes, low vibes, and so forth. Today, I want to be a little more practical. And right now, I need just a little bit of feedback here from you. Can you all see me and hear me well? As I am unmuting all your microphones, let me know. Yes, good here. Yes, wonderful. All right. So there's something that you may have noticed that I kind of smuggled in here over the past couple of months, and that is a new sort of color coding in my monthly calendar. Yeah, you've probably seen this. This monthly calendar is, as always, the calendar for all the monthly energy sessions that we have going on here at transCODES that people can sign up for, that everybody can participate in, including our workshop, for example, the blue events are the events just for you as Sacred Self-Healing members. The red events are only for heart warriors, and all the other events are for the public. And you can see now that I have added a few sort of colors to the days. And if you look closer here on the upper right hand corner, you'll see that I've created something very simple for people to kind of classify what kind of energetic weather conditions will be at these or around these days. It's not precise, obviously, and by the time when I do this, it's like 6 weeks ahead of time. So I'm just reading out the fields, and it's obviously plus minus 1 day anyway. You see here what I call the energetic wellness barometer. It has to do with, sort of how we feel within ourselves subjectively, our inner experience of how we're feeling. And for most people, guys, this is more or less like a dualistic kind of thing. It's, I feel, either good or bad. But for people like yourselves who are a bit more sensitive to things and who have already noticed that you respond to other people's energies, you respond to maybe weather itself, but you respond to, if, like, say, your relationships or your work environments are emotionally or mentally or physically or spiritually heavy, if they are toxic or if they are growth oriented. And this is really addressed to people like you who have a more fine-tuned experience of themselves. All right, and you see here that everything sort of in the red, orange, and yellow is typically perceived as pretty heavy, pretty what we would probably call low or negative energy. Yeah, and within that realm, there's also, you know, sort of a hierarchy. Yeah, so when we are really, really low, we can feel like bottled up. And when we feel bottled up, we can also feel explosive or erratic. We can feel heavy. Yeah. And I want to ask you guys here in a moment what your experiences are. We can feel conflicted, which is more of a mental kind of thing. We can feel neutral. Yeah, not necessarily like really like yay, you know, but more so like this is an okay day. I get to do the things that I want to do. I can stay focused, and you know, I may still make mistakes, but where I feel in control of my own energy. And then we have some days where it feels so calm or so light, and actually, you know, we have this feeling that we are supported, that we have backwind somehow, that things are in a flow, that they're going easy. And then very, very few days where energies are just optimal for us, where it's really peaceful and where we can fully enjoy the day. Yeah, and I want to ask you guys what this means to you. What does energetic wellness mean to you? And maybe you can use some of these descriptors here. What does this look like for you if you are just sort of tuning into your own inner experience? Days that you feel are kind of energetically heavy, or energetically calm, or very peaceful, or where you feel like you are out of control and out of balance. Who wants to share?
Hi, Yona. Hi, everybody. I would say full moons. Those seem
Uh,
to be
all moon?
full moons,
What about full moons?
that they are energetically charged, heavy, more explosive, just because, as we know, as energetically sensitives, it is releasing energy. So that can show in the collective. I notice it at work, especially when it's a full moon. It's way more energetically active.
Okay, so energetically active, can you describe, I mean, you used other descriptors here. So you've noticed that there are certain times of the month that where this kind of repeats, okay? That was one message that I heard, but you also use the word more energetically active and heavy. Can you describe that? What does that feel like? I mean, you work in a store, you have a lot of contact with random collective people,
Yeah.
right? What is that like?
Well, when a full moon's coming on, I literally prepare myself because I want to be in the best energetic state possible for myself. And then I do a lot of observing, and I watch how people behave towards each other, how they drive, in the parking lot, just silly kind of stuff sometimes. I just watch and observe a lot. And there seems to be way more agitation, way more just more outward stuff that people don't really filter, I guess.
Unfiltered behaviors.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what does this lead to in your experience?
That can lead to fights, verbal
Mhm.
stuff, especially during the pandemic. That's been a little more heightened. The whole I've seen people argue about mask stuff in the store. Some people wearing them, some people don't. Um, yeah, but especially around the full moon, it
So more
seems way
conflicts,
more heightened. Yeah,
more conflicts. Hmm.
totally.
Yeah. I find it interesting that you say you prepare yourself and you observe a lot. What about non-full moons? Do you observe as well?
I didn't really do that until we started talking within our community about the new moon and how those energies can be just as strong as well. And I'm starting to tune into that. And yeah, there is a strange pull to that as well.
Okay, so maybe I can help you out here, Cindy. It's a great observation, but it's a mindset like all mindsets. So it's an empirical thing, okay? So you notice that this is the case. And by the way, the research is clearly showing that. Yeah, there's more accidents during full moon times, there's more domestic violence and stuff like that. There's more crime during full moons. So this is actually not news. We all know this. So the lunar cycles do affect people, but for yourself, I would suggest that you just observe at all times. Okay,
Yeah.
not just during full moon or full moon and new moon. Okay, because you're making yourself basically setting yourself up for being blind in between. Okay, if you only focus on full moons. Yeah, if you would talk to an astrologer, okay, you will see that every day is loaded with sort of planetary and cosmic influences. Yeah, every day. Okay, and that's then when we can become sort of what's that word? When you constant sort of anticipate, yeah, the looming doom. Okay, uh, my suggestion to you is that and everyone listening here, that you don't set yourself up with those static, rigid dates or cycles. Okay, that you really stay fully aware and awake and observant at all times. Okay, especially in times like this, because we have an overall weather condition. Yeah, we have an overall weather condition, like you've called it COVID times. Okay, that's an overall weather condition, and that pulls people into their fears, that pulls people into stress. Yeah, and with it also lots of conflicts. Yeah, but not even to mention stuff like the mandates, yeah, whether it's face masks or vaccinations, which create a lot of polarization among people. Yeah, obviously that also leads to more conflict. Yeah, when things are polarized. Yeah, and especially when this polarization leads to um, uh, people being restricted in their freedoms. Yeah, there is a lot of unmet needs here in our collective, and those have to come out somehow. So as energy workers, we know this, everything is energy. Yeah, so everything has to go somewhere. And in COVID times, as you've correctly observed, it is something that we see more and more, and this is also obviously predicted by me, that this will lead to collective clashes, to collective conflicts. It already has. Yeah, yes, wonderful observation. Confliction, so there's more confliction, yeah, when it's energetically heavy. What else have you guys observed? What does it feel like within yourself, though? Does anybody want to share how maybe this energetic heaviness or explosiveness, what this feels like within yourself? What are some of these differences that you, as energetically sensitives, have noticed just going through your everyday kind of life? What kind of phenomena have you observed within yourself?
Hi, this is Becky.
Hey, Becky.
Um, I I'm recognizing that I'm focused more on the low days than the neutral and optimal. Those days either feel like a big pull into emotionality or a big pull into like mentalism and like inner conflict, where I can feel really ungrounded and having a hard time discerning. Just kind of really conflicted, like
Internally conflicted, not
internally conflicted.
necessarily
Yeah,
externally.
yeah, no, it's internally conflicted and
Mhm.
can go off pretty quickly if not.
So you
You
said
know.
that you noticed you tend to focus on those more. What do you mean more compared to what?
Well, what I as meant like in the calendar, like sometimes I'll look at the calendar and I'll notice those low days, right? And so it's
Hmm.
like, okay, um, those are the days to, like you're talking about, like, oh, be more present. And so I'm noticing that I don't pay attention to the neutral, high, and optimal days as much. That would be good to pay attention to as well. It was just something I had
Yeah, I mean,
to.
to be honest with you, I wouldn't really recommend to use the calendar uh, for you to determine how you're going to feel that day to set yourself up.
Yeah, I notice I do
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah,
this is something else, okay? This is a, sort of a fear-based kind of thing, an
yeah,
anticipatory thing, yeah, an anxious thing. The reason why I have started doing that, I've thought about it for many years, but I also understand, what forecasting and so forth, what that does to people. But there is a bigger problem here right now, and that is that most people actually believe that it's just done, okay? And the reason why I ultimately decided to publish this every month is because I want everybody to understand that it's not just them. Yeah. So to set yourself up and say, oh, this is I mean, that's like reading daily horoscopes in a newspaper. Okay. That is already proven not to be conducive. But if you are hitting a low, if you are really hitting something that is where you are so tired that you can't get out of bed, or where you are so emotional that you can't think straight, or that your body is just like, I don't know, anything from totally hyper to totally ungrounded. Okay, it can help to look at something like this and to see, oh, okay, this is a red day, this is a yellow day, okay? It tells you that, yeah, there must be a lot going on. Obviously, here as a sort of transCODES platform, I have been integrating this in many, many different ways. That's why we have the meditations every day. That's why I do the forecast, the energy talk, the energy prayer, these workshops. They all help us to recognize that it is not just us. Yeah. And that is important, Becky, as a message to you. Yeah, because when you feel that way, yeah, and especially when you already anticipated that, that's something that you need to work on generally. Anybody needs to work on that. Yeah, because we're setting ourselves up, we're aligning ourselves to something. Okay, that one we're going to have to learn to master, because that then makes you absolutely susceptible to your mind only. And anything that makes you susceptible or controllable by your mind also makes you susceptible to mind control. Okay? So your mind is under constant influence, under constant manipulation, constant mind control. Yeah. And if you allow that to set yourself up, then that is how mind control works on you. Now, let's assume that I have no bias here, and that the reason why I'm doing this isn't mind control, but actually something that can be used as a healing tool. Okay. So, as a healing tool, this allows us to better discern maybe what it is that is going on inside of us. How can it do it? Like, I did not just put in like black days and white days, good and bad days. It's not good and bad. It's not dark and light days. This is a complete misinterpretation of an energetic barometer. This is neither good nor bad. The color coding shows you that there is an outer tendency. It's like, okay, so everything that is red, yeah, especially the dark red, goes really, really deep into the physical well-being, yeah, the physical wellness, and also sort of the deeper stuff, okay, the stuff that has to do maybe with your attachments, with your karmic stuff, with like that can affect you all over, okay. The orange stuff, that's the emotional stuff, yeah, that can be imbalanced. The yellow stuff is more the mental stuff that can be imbalanced. And the green days, the green stuff, yeah, that's where you just naturally feel a little more spiritual, yeah. And the blue days this month, well, there was one, the 1st of November, that's where you really feel sort of, if you want to give it a gauge, at a 10 out of 10. Okay, yeah. So if you look at this gauge as something that helps you to discern the state of balance that you're in, and simultaneously help you to identify on what level you are feeling challenged or imbalanced. And this is what we're going to learn today. This is where we're going to go a little deeper. And please continue sharing as we go, guys, because you know, this workshop format really lives off your sharing. Okay, so when we talk about the different levels of wellness, we've heard you guys share a few things here, but mostly what I heard from both of you, Cindy and Becky, were mental things, contextualizations. Okay, you shared your you know, how your mind handles certain things. But I would like to hear a little more about these different levels of wellness. Can somebody feel physically imbalanced, physically challenged, and yet emotionally, mentally, spiritually, or energetically feel great? What about your guys' experience? Or can you feel energetically challenged or imbalanced, but emotionally feel great, or physically feel great? What's your experience? It's not a quiz, it's more like what your experience is.
That's me.
Hey, Heather.
Hi, how are you? I was pretty far away from my phone, so I had to make a run for it. But I did want to chime in and just contest to what you're saying. That's definitely something that I can relate to. Been super happy, maybe for a week, over a week. Super happy, in a good space mentally and emotionally.
Okay.
But definitely with the energies, that has been a lot more challenging for me to try
Okay,
and maintain.
how does this feel like for you
Well,
when you feel energetically challenged?
I feel like I'm tired.
Okay, that's a physical thing, okay? Right? So it affects your body, okay?
Yeah, it does. It's very hard to put this into words. I've never tried out that on before.
That's
So
what we do this. Yes, thank you.
I can tell you it's very noticeable, the difference. And I really appreciate knowing that I can be happy, but still, I'm not perfect. I'm not well-rounded, and I know that because I am definitely challenged with being able to maintain this I guess it'd be like a sense of keeping all my I guess
like an equilibrium, right?
Yeah, there we go.
It's like a teeter-totter, or like a seesaw, you know, or a pendulum, right? I mean, it feels the most comfortable, I guess, when we kind of have something that is sustainable, yeah, that can hold itself, so to speak, yeah. And it depends on you know, how important these things are to us. if you say, for example, you're emotionally, mentally, you're really happy in how you see yourself and how this feels from within yourself, but you feel a little challenged physically, yeah, tired, yeah, and any other way you feel this, or is it mostly physical?
No, it's also challenged with keeping up with everything. I just have this, I don't know, this cellular drama. I don't know how to put that into words, but it's definitely something that I'm challenged with, and it's to the point where I just have to overcome it. It's constantly, and it is a constant of being aware and being in tune with this, and just overcoming the lack of discipline in that level. Just understanding that just because my shoulders are up to my ears and I feel tense, doesn't mean that I'm sad, because it doesn't. I'm actually really happy. So
Right,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it just means that there is something with the physical that isn't fully in balance. That's all it means, really.
Yeah, for sure. And I can definitely attest to the intensities. I can feel intensity from, oh, well, I guess from other people, and from just general, the atmosphere in my community. And I just am very in tune with the tension, but I just have chosen not to absorb that. And it's just such a different way of being that I don't have words for it yet. It's very, very new to me, and it's practice, right?
So there's aspects that you feel that are really good, yeah, or satisfactory, yeah, where all your needs are met. And then there's areas where you can clearly identify that it's not that balanced, yeah, that it's still out of balance, your physical maybe. And then there are areas, the latter, the last thing that you mentioned, like how you contextualize things that are going on around you and how you relate to others in the midst of all of that is going on, that you call that's new to you. There's something you're working on. Yeah. So we can have areas where we are working on things. Yeah. And they are not, we can't even put a finger on it yet. We don't know exactly where we're standing, but we are with it. We are on it. We're on it. Okay. So this, for example, here, this is just a, sort of visual representation, Heather, of what you just shared. If you look at your screen, does this kind of represent what you're feeling, like energetically intense, right? And a bit out of balance physically, probably mostly out of balance, emotionally and mentally, happy with what's going on, and spiritually, you're kind of, you're kind of working on it. Is that roughly, is this an accurate picture of the complexity of Heather's wellness?
Yes, that's very accurate. I think it's very funny. It looks a little bit looks a little bit scattered, but it's spot on. And
well, okay, this is like this is me I just made this up, okay, but I guess I could refine that. But I mean, when we talk about energies and wellness, we talk about realms. We don't talk about like blacks and whites and ons and offs and things like that. Yeah. And it's all very associative and very subjective. Okay. So I find it actually very accurate to do something like this spontaneously, because that's when we do this for ourselves, right? If I sort of assess myself and my energy, then that's exactly how I do that. Yeah, I mean, I literally ask myself, okay, so how do you feel physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, energetic? And then I have some kind of measure stick. It's an internal measure stick for myself. And it isn't until I look at the total thing that I realize, okay, maybe, I should focus on the physical a little more, because if that is like sort of the main, let's see, trigger, right? If that can trigger me into like a bad mood or having negative inner self-talk, well, then maybe it'd be a good idea when it comes to like actions, when it comes to like what can I do about this? How can I shift my energy in that area? Yeah, to first look at the overall person that you are. the overall person that you are. And I want to go a little deeper into this here right away, because there is quite a bit of confusion sometimes, as I've noticed, in regards to how to even discern that. Now, who of you is already familiar with this way of looking at yourself in this sort of five-fold way? Hang on a second, I need to get my pointer back. There you go. In this sort of five-fold way that you look at. Who of you, raise your hand, who of you is already familiar with this? Who of you does this already? Who of you uses sort of this inner self-report, this inner checking in with yourself in this sort of five-folded way, and not just like, oh, good or bad? Okay, so there's a few people here that are already doing this. Okay, so, but oh no, more. Okay, that is okay, like a good third, 1/3 of you guys. Yeah, so those of you, the other 2/3 that is not doing that yet, I strongly recommend you to do this from here on, simply because you've given yourself a lot more options, guys. Okay, because if you put if the scale on which or how you measure your own well-being, your own wellness is basically good or bad or on and off, you don't really have a lot of options. And it is very important that you understand that there is a realm, and that there are fields, and that there is tendencies, and that there is trajectories, right? What about an upward trajectory? What if you recover from a disease? Okay, and 2 days ago you felt like you were going to die, and today, you know, you still have a headache, and you still say have a little fever, or you know, or your joints ache, but you feel like 5 million times better than you did 2 days ago, right? This is a trajectory. A trajectory or a tendency is something that describes a realm, guys. Yeah, it compares things with another. And the same with what Heather just here presented to us, right? That there can be times, and this is, you will, once you start paying attention to this, you'll find out that you have this every day, yeah, where this complex being that you are, yeah, and the wellness of that being, yeah, that you are, that it can depend on so many different things, on so many different layers of balance and imbalance within yourself. And here are a few markers of what these things can be, or how you can even inquire about them. And you'll see that these are 6 simply because there is one aspect here that I have added into this particular sort of self-reporting inquiry, and that is socially morally, that, you know, that comes in as this. I typically put this into the category of spiritual, if you believe it or not, but a lot of times it is more mental for people. Yeah, like, what are your social moral beliefs? Okay, what is right behavior? Now, when we are talking about a certain level of consciousness and a certain level of integrity, then that would be a spiritual value, a spiritual assessment. But if we are at a lower level of consciousness, then it's more a mental one. Then it has more to do with your opinion. Yeah. So, but here, this is how you can do this. Okay. So physically, 3D physical. Okay. How can you find out if something is in balance or imbalanced? It's a very simple question. And those of you who have watched the integrity and integration workshop from last month, you might remember this is pretty much the same. Yeah, when it comes to like identifying balance or imbalance, like the state of balance, on a physical 3D level, all you got to ask yourself, what is this healthy? Is this sustainable? Sustainable means, can it stay this way without basically taking a toll on you? Yeah. Emotionally, you can ask yourself if this is congruent or if this is desirable. Yeah, if you can live with this. Yeah, I mean, you know, there are times where we're sad, and there are times where we have pain, and there are times where we're angry. And This is neither good nor bad. Yeah, it just needs to be congruent. It needs to, sort of be appropriate to, how I feel and what I want to express. Yeah, and for example, if I am sad and I find a way or have a way to express that, and where I get support when I reach out, when I have friends or talk to family members or a coach or a therapist, and I can congruently express that, then that's not bad. And on the contrary, it actually can help you to understand yourself better. It can help you to feel better about yourself. Yeah, even if the actual emotion feels uncomfortable at first. Yeah, like sadness. Nobody likes feeling sad, but sadness is a healthy expression of a state in you and shouldn't be repressed. None of our emotions should be repressed. Yeah, the problem that we have with it is more the behavior, and this is here the next level. Is the way I'm expressing this, is the way I'm thinking about this, is the way I am propagating this, the way I talk to myself, the way I talk to others. Is this acceptable? Is this reasonable? See, you can be angry and you can, have a moment of release where you yell at me and call me names, right? And that is now because you have some emotional imbalance. That is now a mental behavioral problem, because for me, this is not acceptable. Yeah. So this doesn't mean that I don't like or disagree or, don't respect your emotional imbalance, your emotion that you have, but I can still ask you, to do this in an acceptable or appropriate or reasonable way. Yeah. So these are slight variations of the theme. And then the social moral, even more so. Yeah. That is something that my 7-year-old son likes to discuss with me right now every day, namely what is right. And like when it comes to swear words, for example, we all are hypocrites with our kids when it comes to swear words, right? We tell them that they can't use these bad words, and yet we turn around and use them, and obviously that triggers a little bit of a like, hey mom, you can't say this bad word, right? So there's all these discussions that come up, and we have them in our collective here right now on pretty much all subjects of social living together, yeah, of social awareness, if you think about it, whether it's gender equality, racial equality, um, uh, environmental awareness, medical awareness, legal awareness, financial awareness. I mean, you name it. Okay, we have a big sort of sociological and moral sort of discussion going on here in our societies, and some of it isn't actually a discussion. Some of it is being sort of suppressed, and that then can lead to these physical and emotional and behavioral um, imbalances in people. Okay, then we have the spiritual level, and that has to do with a higher goal, with a higher, it has more to do with ethics and integrity, and what is sort of generally acceptable. Yeah, not just for me, not just for my culture or for my gender or for my race, but this is something that where when I talk with kids, I discuss sort of the golden rule. That's a spiritual goal. The golden, do you guys all know what the golden rule is? The golden rule, you guys all know what that is? Who does not know what the golden rule is? Raise your hand very quick. Should I explain it? Yeah, the golden rule, Becky, is don't do to others what you don't want to be done to yourself. Right? Yeah. It's very simple. Yeah, golden rule, this is the golden rule, right? But there's other things like that that have to do with sort of ethical wisdom, yeah, if you will. Yeah, it has to do with, I mean, obviously the stuff that we can all feel within ourselves is right and wrong. Okay, don't steal, don't lie, don't kill. Yeah, these are ethics. These are spiritual values, guys. Yeah, and it has to do with what we instinctually feel from within is the right thing to do. It's not necessarily righteous. It is sort of ethically right. Yeah, that's why, you know, in these psychological tests, they do these ethics tests, okay, to see if you have some kind of distortion there. Yeah, these I don't know if you're familiar with these tests, but where you're being basically put into having a choice between a rock and a hard place, and they want to see which one you take. Yeah, so because there is no clear right and wrong when it comes to spiritual values, and this has nothing to do with New Age esotericism or religion. Spiritual values have something to do with what defines all of us here as humans in this sort of united community, that this united species that we have. It's the rules that basically overrule just our sort of local rules. Yeah, like divine order, if you will, would be sort of the highest of all the rules. Yeah, which is more of a natural order. Yeah, what goes up must come down. That's divine order, but only here on this planet. Yeah, so that always makes my son laugh when I say that. Yeah, because other planets have different kind of gravity. Yes. Then we have the energetic and the etheric aspect of our balance or well-being. Yeah, and for most of you, this is not quite yet discernible. Okay, where these imbalances might be located. Okay, but it's very simple. Forget everything about chakras and whatever attachments on what you know. Yeah, and just ask yourself, do I feel free? Do I feel expansive? Does this bring growth? Does this allow me to expand into the situation or flow with the situation? Okay, and if it doesn't mean it's bad. Okay, this whole sort of idea that things are either good or bad is dualistic and therefore not applicable, because as human you are not dualistic in your perception of yourself. Yeah, you're much more complex than good or bad. Yeah, if you will, which is still kind of linear, but you know, a scale from 0 to 10, yeah, a gauge from 0 to 10 is way more differentiated than an on and off switch. Yeah, a good or bad. Okay, so when you put all these different layers of yourself that can impact or influence your well-being, then you recognize that there is so much more that you need to pay attention to. Okay, and I want to really guide you through this here in detail today, because I noticed that there was a lot of sort of fundamental stuff that is actually still missing for many of you. And just so you know, the energy course that is out there handles the dynamics of energy, and it's actually, you know, I don't know, Heather or Cindy, you were there. It's quite advanced to a degree. Yeah, it's the energy course is for recognizing how your energies move and interact with others, and really all the way to how it works in all these different levels: physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and energetic. But there will be another course, and that's called Energy Wellness. All right, and this is where I'm going to teach people who have not really yet that much experience with discerning all these different layers of themselves, yeah, these different energies with themselves, how to actually feel into this. And here you can see basically how I have contextualized this. What is physical? What is physical? Physical is anything 3D, not just your body, anything 3D, anything matter, okay? Anything that relates to survival, the state of your financials, home, job, relationships, and all outer conditions. That's physical. And please ask questions, because I'm just going to go through this here real quick. What's emotional? anything that affects your mood, your motivation, your expression of life and love. Yeah. So expression is not just in regards to like the words that you use, or like whether you feel like or, but it can also be in the way you regard life altogether. Yeah, if you are motivated to start new things, if you're curious, if this is an expression of life force. Yeah. And of course also your overall sort of emotional processing, sort of the depth in which you can process your emotions. Mental energies is anything regarding inner and outer communication, anything regarding the way of your thinking, your opinions, your mindset, your ability to express them accordingly. And this is also, here is where the literacy comes in, the vocabulary that you have, the learning, yeah, the intellectual sort of connection with things. And spiritually, and pay attention to this, because most of you don't even ask yourself really what these words mean, is anything that expresses and affects your life and worldview. Life view and worldview. That's your attitude toward yourself, your life, and the world, and the universe, if you will. Nature, and the overall ability to connect. So it represents your perception, your views, and your ability to contextualize it all and to connect with it. Very, very important. That's what spiritual means. That's what etheric means. How do we know when something is out of balance? Yeah, because when everything is balanced, how does that feel like? Give me a few examples here, guys. What does it feel like to you when you feel balanced? Yeah, when your energetic wellness barometer, your personal energetic barometer, yeah, is at its best. Who can describe to me how you feel when you feel balanced by using all 5 layers of wellness? Yes, my example. Yes. Okay. So this is about you guys expressing it. This is not, those are not quizzes, guys. Who can describe what it feels like to you when you are balanced by using these 5 different layers?
You know, Jona, for me, it feels like sitting in front of a cozy fireplace.
Okay, so you just gave us an imagery that triggers something in all of us, and a certain feeling, and that's fine. That's very cool.
Well, a
Okay,
feeling,
we
yeah,
all have a feeling
sure.
now. We all have a feeling. It's an overall feeling, right?
And so
And
mentally, I'm very comfortable. I feel
okay,
very safe. I feel very safe
mentally you
within.
feel safe.
Overall, within.
Okay, okay. Try to use the 5 different layers. So we have the imagery, and that is you sitting in front of a fireplace and gazing into the flames. Oh, my subconscious starts adding things to it. You have a hot cocoa in your hand. you feed on, like I can add even more
Well,
things to it.
spiritually,
But
it can, well, spiritually, that action also connects me with nature as well. Well,
okay, let's
with
start. Let's do this systematically, Brian. The overall feeling, or feeling balanced, yeah, energetic wellness is actually an overall feeling. An overall feeling. Note, feeling is not the same as emotion. It's an overall feeling, and an overall feeling is something like imagery. That's why I like that you gave us an imagery, because that is exactly what balance feels like. Yeah. Heather was looking for a word there earlier, and I called it equilibrium or something like that. That was a bit more technical, the term, but you delivered us a feeling, and that is what it is. But now let's look at the different components, the 5 different components of it. And you can go with the imagery that you've brought up. You can also use different ones, different metaphors. When you feel balanced, how does your body feel? How does your physical feel? Anything
I
physical,
feel
anything
overall,
3D.
I feel, well, overall, physically, I feel relaxed.
Physically relaxed. Okay, very good. Okay. What else?
Well, relaxed yet energetic too, feeling
Relaxed.
energetic.
Let me change the color here. Yes, this is very important that we define this for ourselves. Yeah, because obviously the inner experience can be individual, but there are some things that are really the same for all of us humans. Yeah, so you feel relaxed. Keep talking. I'm just like going through my editing drama here. Relaxed.
Well, I was also energetic, and
Energetic.
also what came up for me was feeling alert too, but that could also
Awake.
I can figure
Awake.
that out.
Or awake
Well,
or lured. I like both.
yeah, but also those, I consider
Present.
those also could cross into the mental realm as well.
Yeah. Okay, but
Yeah,
there's also some sort of a physical alertness.
yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
where you like. That one I would call
My
present. That you're
my
fully
spidey
present.
sense, my spidey sense, I would call it in a way.
What sense?
My spidey sense,
I don't know what that
Spider-Man
is.
has his, yeah,
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
So physically, these are pretty good. These are pretty good descriptors, whereby I just want to point out that the word energetic in context with your physical well-being is not the same as what we use to describe a sort of energetic or energies. In the English language, the word energetic relates to, like, when you describe your body, your physical well-being as energetic, it refers to your vitality, right?
Uh-huh.
Brian, that's how you meant it, right? You feel vital, you feel ready to go, like, okay, ready to go. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Emotionally, how does it feel like when we feel emotionally balanced?
Calm.
Mm-hmm. And you guys can chime in. Uh-huh. There's also something about our needs when we're emotionally balanced. This is how I describe this to kids. Content, when you feel content, yeah, in a way, not like as comfortable is a tricky word for me, because that always brings up the ego. It's a judgment. But content is actually something that we can feel, where you don't really need anything. You're just happy. Yeah, like sitting in front of the fireplace, maybe with a book, and just sort of being. You don't need anything. It feels content. This is also part of the reason why we're calm, because we're not seeking anything. We're not needing anything, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
just.
I was going to say your needs are met.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, the opposite of needy, right? Hmm?
Right. Right. Yeah.
What else can express us emotionally being balanced? I mean, it's obviously not having any emotions. right? Because this is where many people, when they call themselves emotional, like, oh, you know, I'm very emotional right now. Okay, they make it sound like they don't want to have any emotions. They make it sound like it's bad to have emotions. This is really not what it's about. It's about a certain state of emotions, emotional. I mean, calm and content is already a very good descriptors, but what if we are sad? What if we are going through something that you know, triggers emotions in us? Just because we have emotions doesn't mean that we are imbalanced. But
Centered
there's
comes to mind
centered.
to
Yes, I
me.
love that. Yes. Yeah, it's not extreme, right? It's
Yeah,
when we're balanced, it feels like whatever that energy or that emotional, whatever it is that I go through, the emotions, okay, they are, I almost want to say in control, yeah, but
mm,
without the negative connotation of it. Yeah, I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
that I am, I have a grip on things. I have a handle on things. I go through something like, yeah, you know, I just, you know, lost my pet, or, you know, I just totaled my car. Well, yeah, it don't feel good. Okay, but that doesn't mean that I'm emotionally imbalanced, right? It just means that, you know, you know, I have some heavy feelings right now about my car or my pet, but I can still be very centered. Mhm.
I guess a woo-woo way of explaining it would be feeling at one with yourself.
That one I would not put into the emotional category. That one
Okay,
would be more the overall energetic balance.
I see.
You see, when you feel with one at everything, you know, feeling one with what the world, yourself, self and world. How about that? Oops. Yeah, that is a balanced, an overall balanced state. There are some states that we cannot really differentiate as, you know, just an emotion. Anything that we would here in the English language call feeling. Yeah, so feeling is not the same as emotion. Any sort of overall feeling, okay, is more sort of the result of being balanced. Yeah, or imbalanced for that matter. How does it feel like when we are mentally balanced? And try to describe this without using negations. Do you know what I mean with that? Like, don't say, well, the absence of this or the absence of that. No, no. How does it feel like?
I know I feel more objective.
Yes. Do you mind if I call this neutral? Neutral.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah. Neutral's cool. Yeah.
Because objective, because you can be subjectively objective. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Neutral
yeah.
means that you don't necessarily have, you know, neither an
Right.
agreement nor a
Yeah,
disagreement with something.
yeah.
Yeah. Becky's also saying relaxed. Yeah, I relaxed. Okay, relaxed. We've used this. It's a better word to describe physical states, guys. Mentally, there's better ways to describe when you're mentally or intellectually relaxed. Yeah, well, no, without negations, not, yeah, here, there's, you guys all have great suggestions. Without noise. Although quiet, I like something like, Brian, would you agree with that? It feels sort of silent somehow
Mm-hmm.
in our heads, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah. Well, you can almost use I mean, we're bleeding into emotional again, but you could almost use calm there too.
Yes, and this is you'll see this obviously these are realms, okay? These are not
Yeah,
actually that separated from another.
yeah.
I also want to add, just so that we can move forward, focused.
Mm.
When you are mentally balanced, okay, you are in control what you want to focus on. Yeah, the opposite of distracted. Yeah, you're focused. You're able to hold a thought. You're able to think things all the way through. There is a certain sharpness to your thinking, and you are also clear. Yeah, you have clarity, your mental clarity when you're balanced. Okay. Well, if you thought that this was tricky, then let's talk about what it feels like when we are spiritually, etherically balanced.
You know, what's interesting is some of the descriptions we used in the previous categories you could put in this category
Yes, you
too.
can, but it's the reason for that is that our language is undifferentiated. The reason for that, Brian, that you find the same words for same categories is because you've never actually really felt into it, because we have a very superficial way of describing it, and in that we lose a lot, we miss a lot. Yeah, and of course you can use calm in any of these states, because calm is the absence of conflict. Okay, yes, and we're basically getting there to say that anything that is balanced is the absence of conflict, and everything that's imbalanced is the presence of conflict. Yes, so some things do, like they are that way, but it's more than that. It's more than that. It's not just calm. It's not just calm. Becky says supported here. I like supported. Yeah, I like that, because it makes us, there's something about that. We don't feel alone. Have you guys noticed that? When you feel connected, when you feel that things make sense in a way, then you feel, well, you don't feel alone, that's one thing, but you also feel stronger. Yeah, Heather too. Connected, yes, connected. We should definitely, I mean, it's all about connection, but yeah, connected. Yeah, Cindy is adding here that it's easier for us to discern truth. I actually find myself more differentiated. And this may be a little mental word here, but it's not that I always can discern, but when things are a bit more differentiated, it means that my perspective is more open. Things are broader. Would you agree, Brian? When we're spiritually balanced,
Yeah, I agree.
we can
Definitely.
see more,
Yeah,
right?
it's like the overall picture. Yeah.
Yeah, bigger picture.
Yeah.
Things make more sense. Yeah, like it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
even if you think sort of in kind of woo terms, right? Like, oh yeah, this too shall pass, right? I mean, that's kind of sort of a laid back chill.
but sometimes even the wacky random things can make sense. Bigger picture.
I agree. Yeah. So a bigger picture perspective, you know, it can either because things are more differentiated or because we are more open. So I would also like to add the word open. Would you guys all agree? Open means anything from, you know, giving and receiving, flow, yeah, where there's potential, there is room to grow, yeah, something along those lines. Okay, now coming back, this is a pretty good list here, guys. Good job. Coming back to the overall feeling of balanced. What else would you like to add? I mean, we can add imagery like you did right at the beginning, Brian. Yeah, that has basically sort of induced the same feeling in all of us. But let's use descriptors for that, what it feels like or can feel like when we are completely balanced, when we are sort of at the top of our energetic wellness game. Feeling one with self and the world. Yeah, what else?
Contentment.
Yeah, I'd be careful with the word contentment. The same with the word comfortable. Those are ego terms. And if at all, contentment only applies to emotionals, to emotional states.
Okay.
But I know what you want to say, though. Try to describe it maybe in different words.
Completeness.
In other words, there is nothing that we are seeking, nothing that we're needing, nothing, right? It's a step up from content.
Or fulfillment, maybe? Would that be it?
Yes, wonderful, absolutely. I mean, people always think about fulfillment sort of as the end of the road, but no, fulfillment can be felt with things that they just feel deeply satisfying when you do it, right? There's no questions asked. You and Becky, you've mentioned earlier here sort of a knowingness, right? Where there's no questions either. Yes, there's sort of we're not really looking for answers, or because we can feel the answers from within. It's again here we're describing an inner feeling, so let's not get too rigid with the words, guys. But some words are better used in other contexts. Oh, what was the word? Inner warmth, balance. Actually, Cindy, inner warmth is not. Try to use a different way of describing that. Because inner warmth would be more like here. And you guys can all share it into the microphone here. Inner warmth. How could we express, anybody, how could we express inner warmth in different ways? I mean, fulfillment, you know, goes into this direction. I don't know if you can feel that.
For me, it kind of captures the being connected. Also,
yes,
definitely it's a physical feeling for sure. It does touch on the emotional, because I can get very emotional, but also non-emotional when I'm in that state.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it affects, you know, it's a field here, yeah. It's like all of it, right?
Yeah.
So But a warmth is too, it doesn't fit the overall feeling. There's one more thing here that we need that can express that. It has to do with connectedness. It has to do with inner warmth. It has to do with relaxed. Yeah. Feel within, guys. Try to find words to describe these things. This is how you form your inner literacy. Your ability to describe your inner feelings, your inner states, and the higher that ability, the higher your literacy, the more differentiated can you perceive yourself and others. Keep thinking about this. Okay, I'm happy, yeah, with this list. I'm happy with the list that we have created here. There's no right and wrong, obviously, because this is the way how we subjectively experience that. Now let's look into what happens when we're imbalanced. Okay, when we're physically imbalanced. Are you laughing?
I am, yeah.
All right, yeah, well, this is we're doing this is like energetic kindergarten class, okay? Yeah, really like going through the vocabulary words. It's we weren't taught this in school, okay? So that's why, it's really sometimes cool when we actually do that and we look at it as something that we could have learned in school, right? What does it feel like when we feel physically imbalanced? My body feels sluggish, exhausted, hyper, ungrounded, restless, aching, tired, or sick. Anything else, guys, that you would like to add to that? Okay, we could probably also add the financials. Yeah. I experience lack. And fear. Okay. That is how physical imbalance feels. How does emotional imbalance feel? My emotions are extremely high or low. I have difficulties controlling my responses. I have cravings, or I am numb. Yeah. And my relationships are dramatic. Drama. How does this feel like when I'm mentally imbalanced? My thoughts are racing. I cannot focus. I question myself. I worry. I have negative inner self-talk. I am indecisive. I loop. Can you guys relate to any of this?
Yeah, all of it.
Right, but these are, again, here we're looking at ourselves in a more differentiated way, and we need to know how to measure this. Okay, what does it feel like when I'm spiritually, etherically imbalanced? It feels dark. Right, that's why I didn't put a color there. Nothing makes sense. I see no purpose. I cannot connect with others. I feel alone. I am afraid. Anything you guys would like to add to that? Or does that represent it, basically? So how does it feel like overall when we are imbalanced, guys? Overall. When your energetic wellness is at its lowest, how would you describe that?
Dead end.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm writing this down because that is actually, I mean, I'm sure there's more sophisticated ways of describing this, but right
Yeah,
now I think it's very important that we tune into that, how it actually subjectively feels. Hopeless, right?
oh yeah.
Powerless. What else?
Senseless.
Mhm. Not good. Right. It feels, I want to say inhuman, guys. I want to say inhuman. Yeah, no way out. That's hopeless. Abandoned. Yeah, abandoned is an emotional imbalance. Yeah, emotional and spiritual. The overall feeling. Yeah, depletion. Yeah, depletion. I like depletion. It's a lack of life force, right? I mean, lifeless. Lifeless is just a different word for depletion. It basically kills our humanity. It takes our life force away. Yeah. Okay. So this is what we're looking at here. This is what we're dealing with, guys. Okay, so let's go into the practical. We have 10, 12 more minutes to go through this. Okay, so many of you guys know this. There's, I work with these worksheets, and some of them are in the Sacred Self-Healing program in the course, and some of them are in the energy course. This one here has to do with our overall very simplistic sort of observation, what we can feel about our balance, and the needs that we can identify that are not met. So when my body feels in a certain way, as we have just described it, when it's imbalanced, okay, there is a certain need that comes up, right? So let's go back here. What comes up for you when your body feels sluggish, exhausted, hyper, ungrounded? What comes up in you guys as a need? It's hard for me, guys, to read your stuff. Can you
Drink
just talk into the
water.
microphone?
Yes, sleep.
Drink water.
Drink water, okay. So so for some physicals, like nutrition and food and drink and sleep, of course. Yeah, sleep. But what do you feel like that you need to do or not when you feel physically exhausted, depleted? Not so much the details. Those are all things that you obviously know. That you can try things. Yeah.
Self-care, like taking care of yourself.
Yeah, so there's a need for self-care, for instance, and that's what you need to investigate here. Yeah, when your body feels imbalanced, you need to go through all your self-care needs, if you're actually doing them or if you actually did them. There's also another reason why we can run into imbalances, and that is when we have wants that are not fulfilled. Yeah. So we wanted something, let's say, lose weight, or have more money, or wanted to get married. Okay, and that doesn't happen. That can also imbalance us. Yeah, but this is basically just sort of a hint for you on how to investigate this. Look at your needs and wants in these areas as they lead you to the cause of your imbalance. And that's really important because you have to be able to identify how to address your imbalance. And this is where psychology comes in. There is a Maslow's need hierarchy of needs. And you can see here, starting at the bottom, going up, the triangle. So this is a foundational thing. So we all have biological, physical needs for safety, shelter, food, and so forth. And it builds these purple and blue layers. I've added them to the Maslow's needs because as people who are striving for higher consciousness or higher learning, we discover that there's other needs as well. But this is basically functions like a foundation. So without this, okay, you don't need to think about this. Yeah, does this make sense, guys? Without having a good foundation here with these aspects of your most fundamental needs, and they are color coded. Everything I do is color coded to show you the complexity, how they link together. So everything black and red and orange here, yeah, that black and red relates to the physical stuff, orange to the emotional processing, green to your mental yellow to your mental processing, green to your ability to connect with something, turquoise to your ability to give things form, to express things, also authenticity level, blue, the truth level with which you can express yourself, and obviously purple, the higher connection that you can make, yeah, the connection with higher power in this, okay? And I don't really want to talk more about this, but I want to talk about this energy stress gauge, okay, in conjunction with all of this now, so that you can understand this better, okay? These are your fundamental needs here, okay? Yeah, and the more conflicted you are with them, the less they are met. Yeah, the more energetic stress you will experience. Okay, so if you don't have enough to eat, if you don't have shelter, if you don't have minimal protection, what do you think? Are your energetic stress levels, are they going to be sort of on the blue level? Are you going to be in peace about it? Are you going to just like chill and enjoy life and, or are you going to be stressed? Are you going to be exhausted and depleted, hopeless, powerless, and feel alone? If your most fundamental needs are in question, what do you think that's going to make you? Stressed or happy? Balanced or imbalanced? This is a real question. I mean, I don't know if this is too complicated. But if you are not taking care of your most fundamental needs, that's why it's a pyramid, okay? It's the foundation of it. You don't need to worry about oneness and transcendence and feeling one with all. You don't need to worry about it because you're not going to be alive tomorrow to worry about it. The denser the problem is, yeah, the denser it is. So from, basically the higher spiritual realms into, the emotional and mental realms and so forth into the physical, okay? The more prevalent they're going to be, the more they're going to affect everything else. And the stronger they're going to affect your inner conflict levels, your inner stress. Okay, here on the left, and this is hard to read, and obviously there's a reason why I have these pictures in background to make it a little bit hard to read, because I don't want people to copy it. That's my intellectual property. Okay, so here you see that, when that level of need here, biological and physiological, most fundamental needs, then that leads to an extreme level of stress, okay, and physical health issues, emotional, mental health issues. Yeah, it's absolutely exhausting. Yeah, and it's all about existence. When when you go into levels of survival, wanting to survive something, just wanting to get by, which is the level of trauma and addiction. Yeah, you see here, it's still extremely high stress. Okay, so these are the different states that it triggers in us. Yeah, and these are basically sort of the need level that it affects. And most of you guys are stuck here. Here. Constant search. Constant stressing. It's all about achieving, getting, having, accomplishing. Yeah, and all of the lower ones. So everything below that is still prevalent here. So this is step 17 in the Sacred Self-Healing course, as many of you know. So now you look at this again, you see, oh, wait, okay, so what does this mean? It basically just means that on these days, things have a higher tendency to be imbalanced. And if you latch onto this, and if you feel heavy emotionally because of that, well, then it shows you exactly where your imbalance is. Because if somebody else can tell you that you're going to feel like this on this day, and you make yourself feel that way because somebody else told you that, that's an imbalance. Okay. However, if you observe yourself being under the influence of some kind of outer weather, and you feel like all of the, you feel emotionally, mentally happy, as Heather described it earlier, and all of a sudden, without no forewarning, you feel your physical feels really, really dense, really, really heavy, really, really hard to control, yeah, due to tiredness. Okay, and you look at the calendar and you say, oh, okay, this is a day where there's a lot of heavy energies coming in, okay, that can make people feel that way. Okay, so our striving here is to keep all of that in balance, like the teeter-totter, the seesaw that we mentioned in the beginning. Yeah, and there are stages of getting ourselves into balance. And that's the ones that you need to pay attention to now, okay? Because there never is a state where you are entirely 100% balanced. Very, very rarely do these states occur. Anybody, any examples here? Moments that you can remember where you felt so balanced on all these levels simultaneously. These moments of excellence in life. Who's experienced them?
Me.
Heather.
Yes, my mind goes to backcountry hiking in the mountains with my son, and just the epitome of ultimate happiness.
On all levels, right?
Yes,
Emotionally,
ma'am.
physically, mentally, socially, you were doing this with your son, spiritually, yeah, just, yeah, all over, right? And then we try to recreate those states. When I said the word moments of excellence, I thought about those similar moments as well. Yeah, with just everything lined up. Everything was in tune. And this is how you need to approach this, guys, when you identify that you are not in balance. And this is how this goes. It's very systematic, broken down for you. Number one, you start out with the conflict. You have a conflict, and I can assure you that the conflict will be about an unmet need. It always is about unmet needs. You find yourself triggered and reactive. That's the conflict stage. Stage two, and this is now where you have to actively jump in. This is already where most of the people, 95% of people, opt out. You have to become aware of it. You have to actually feel into, you have to feel out what is going on and state to yourself how you're feeling, becoming aware, acknowledging. Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I feel really sad. Yes, I feel down. Okay. Stage number three, you have to stop whatever is going on, because you remember you are in a reactive state, you are triggered. You have to stop that, calm yourself down and breathe. Okay, just breathe to calm your nervous system, yeah, and to allow everything to slow down, including your heart rate, including your emotions, including your thoughts. Okay, And best is if you stop what you're doing. Yeah, just stop what you're doing. For a moment, I'm talking about a number of seconds here. Then connect within. Again, this requires you to actively step into it and to examine the states of balance or imbalance. Wait a minute, wait a minute. Why am I so angry? What is behind that? What is the need underneath this that I am not feeling I'm getting fulfilled? What is the problem here? What am I resisting? Yeah, that's stage number 5, where you learn to discern more. And then stage number 6 is where you begin to understand, you realize, that if you have an issue with not being able to pay your rent, and that triggers all these physical, fundamental survival fears with you, okay, that you cannot really, expect yourself to think clear and to make good decisions and to be this continually sort of spiritually glowing person. You can also not accept from yourself to do energy work, okay, and to meditate the problem with not being able to pay the rent away, right? So the understanding part here is where your intervention, where what you are going to do, where that needs to happen. Yeah, where does this need to happen right now? Do I have to do something that affects the physical? Do I have to do, actually it's better here, this one is better. Do I have to do anything here? Do I have to address that problem on the physical level? Do I have to address this problem on an emotional level, on a mental level, or is this a spiritual problem? This is where most people cannot discern. They do not realize, they do not understand what the next step needs to be to balance things back out, because they're not aware that you cannot address a problem that, say, occurs on the 3D level, okay, with some kind of etheric or spiritual issues. I give you guys an example. I had a phone call yesterday from a friend, and that friend knows obviously what I do, and that friend has had a series of difficult nights, couldn't fall asleep because there's neighbors that they have that are constantly fighting, yeah, and where the guy, is sort of threatening to kill the woman, okay, and she looked up the names of the guy, and both of them of the guy, and she found out that he had been arrested several times for domestic violence and assault. And as a consequence of that, she cannot sleep at night. And she calls me and she asks me if I could work on this with her etherically, if I could do anything, how to clear her house so that she can sleep better. What do you guys think? What do you guys think my response was? Please speak into the microphone.
That it can't be resolved on that level.
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, maybe over the course of many years you could, but if you want to resolve the problem in the now, in the here and in the now, right, it might be better to talk to the neighbor, the lady neighbor, right, and inquire if there's any kind of need or support that she needs, right, because it affects you, because it affects you. Yeah, so this is a 3D problem that needs to be addressed in 3D. Okay, you guys understand that? It's super, super important that you do that kind of differentiation here. What is the problem? And if this is you, perhaps, if you are in such a relationship, meditating this away isn't going to resolve the problem, guys. If you work at a workplace that is toxic and where there's people that use demeaning language or that use discriminating language or actions, okay, no matter what it discriminates, okay, if it makes you feel restricted, if it makes you feel powerless, if it makes you feel small, there is no energetic solution to that. This is a quiz. What is the solution if you work at a really, really toxic work environment? What is the action step that needs to be done?
Walk out.
Yes, you gotta quit your job, man. Depending on what company you work for, if it is a big company or if there are some disciplinary things that are connected to that, you can file a complaint, you can go to the HR department. Yeah, I would strongly recommend to do that because you are helping yourself to express that in that moment and that releases it. Okay, sometimes it's also important to put things onto record. Yeah, so it depends a little bit on the situation, but there is no energetic, etheric, spiritual solution to you working in a workplace that is toxic. Yeah. Now, you could, if this is something that others experience as well, and that they have expressed that is something they want to change, well, then you can try to find ways to collaborate maybe and find a higher vibratory solution. Maybe you all put in a complaint so that the HR department of your company is forced to step in and do this for you. Some things you cannot really control. You don't have the power to control it, but there can be higher vibratory solutions in the sense that many people come together and use the power that they have together. This is really the one way that we have here in this world right now, is to realize that we all have a lot of power, especially if we all collaborate. Yeah. But that was just an example here to make it clear to you why this is so important, to discern where the problem is. Yeah. First, you ask yourself where the unmet need is and where the wants are, that what you actually want. Yeah. And what the reality is and where the imbalance is. And then you discern what you can do about it. So then you can do something about it. Then you do something like you let go of something, either you want or you need. I recommend that you let go of your wants rather than your needs. Once you've gotten out of the danger zone, okay, then you got to revisit the whole thing, because sometimes it's obviously temporarily okay to let go of your wants, but you're gonna have to start correcting things, yeah, so that you don't continually end up in those kind of situations, or situations or environments or conditions that are more conducive for you, that allow you growth, where you can expand. Yeah, so that's what revisiting the imbalance and correcting it means. And then you start cultivating that, you start expressing and embodying that. All right, and then you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and because every time you change something, you may run into a different kind of conflict with it, and that conflict then triggers a reactiveness, or triggers some kind of out of control, or energetic imbalance, energetic unwell-being. And here, this is something that I think this is step 18. Okay, this is the process, just in different ways, color-coded, and here on the right side with a little bit of dialogue. Okay, that's what that is. So here, 2 more worksheets, because we're running out of time here. This is a self-report worksheet that you guys all know, and it relates to the unmet needs directly and to the resistance that you have. So it's pretty much the same thing, but here a little more detailed, where you have tried something like some kind of shift, and you're observing now, you're basically in the second round, okay, what worked and what didn't work. Yeah, you inform yourself. This is, you can use this as sort of as a diary kind of thing. Yeah. And then another worksheet that, again, here you see it works on the same level, but it helps you, or not same level, but on, with always with these 5 different, ways or levels of understanding yourself, of perceiving yourself, of wellness. Okay, you actually ask yourself, if you're not sure how to find your imbalance, then you can go in with these things. You ask yourself, here on a physical level, the question is this sustainable? On an emotional level, is this desirable? On a mental level, is this acceptable? On a spiritual level, is this ethical? Yeah. And on an energetic level overall, is this balanced? Okay. And then, you can go down this. This is all for self-work with yourself. This is what I have these courses for, and so forth, that, drawings like this, infographics like this make more sense to you. Yeah, because this is who you are. This is this wonderful tree that you are. Yeah, and it needs your self-awareness to allow all these branches and all these leaves and these fruits of your self-actualization and your expression, yeah, to come out. And actually, if you pay super attention, you see that the color coding here corresponds with the level that the level of well-being in these different areas. So this concludes the presentation here and the workshop, guys. Just real quick, we have on this Saturday the first interaction day of our energy course, where we go deeper into the dynamics with yourself, perceived through yourself. It's a higher learning. You guys are very familiar with that learning, through combination of energy sessions and, systematic self-learning and intellectual understanding. It's not too late if you want to join, if you want to hop on, you can still do this. Okay, the interaction is once a week on Saturdays, 6 Saturdays in a row. I'd suggest that you take the whole day off to just dedicate that to your energetic self-discovery journey. The next one will start January 8th. Okay, so just so you know, they come in sort of 2-month rhythms, and most likely in February, I may, maybe already before that, introduce the energy wellness course. But as Sacred Self-Healing members, to be honest, I think that you guys a bit overqualified. I mean, here with the energy course, I'm basically giving you 50% because you already have a really good repertoire through the steps. Okay. The same, especially those of you who are heart warriors as well, you only pay $299 for the energy course. But the energy wellness course, that's something, that's going to be something like $99. It's a very simple, very easily structured a kind of course that you can do with your kids or with your friends together. Okay, so that's a different level. Yeah, just wanted to give you guys a heads up here already of what that entails. Yeah, thank you everybody for the great webinar. Brian, thank you for being this wonderful co-moderator here today. Actually, I should always do this. This makes so much more fun for me, and especially since I can't see you. I can't hear you, so I'm literally staring at a blank screen and talk. And so I want to thank you, Brian, for being there for me with some feedback.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Even if it's a laugh, or some kind of connection, that helps me too. All right, guys, wonderful. See some of you tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. With the energy prayer and the following energy forecast or energy tips or update for week 47, I guess. I think, yes, full moon lunar eclipse week. Cindy? Put your armor on. Okay, that's going to be a heavy week for all of you, all of us. Don't think it's just you. Okay, but it will also bring the best out in us.